Imagine waking up every morning with legs that feel strong, steady, and full of energy. No more nagging cramps. No more wobbly knees. And no more fear of falling when you're just trying to enjoy life. Whether you love taking peaceful walks in the park, dancing to your favorite oldies, or simply staying independent at home, strong legs are the key to doing it all. But here's the good news. Staying mobile and confident doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the secret often lies in what's on your plate. Today, we're diving into 7 science-backed vitamins and minerals recommended by leading health organizations in the U.S. that can help support healthy muscles, boost circulation, and protect your bones as you age. These nutrients are simple, powerful, and could make a real difference in how you move and feel every single day. So if you're ready to feel stronger on your feet and more confident in every step, this video is for you. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life. Let's stay strong together. And now let's move on to the first vitamin, vitamin D. Vitamin D doesn't just help with calcium absorption. It plays a key role in keeping our muscles and bones working properly. When we're low on it, we're not just dealing with weaker bones, we're also facing muscle loss, poor balance, slower movement, and a much higher risk of falling. Think about it, one bad fall at age 70 or 80 can lead to a broken bone, weeks or months in bed, and a chain reaction of complications like pneumonia, loss of independence, or even death. And yet more than half of older adults in the U.S. are living with a vitamin D deficiency without even knowing it. The thing is, vitamin D isn't expensive or hard to find. You can get it from a bit of morning sunlight, simple foods like salmon or egg yolks, or even a daily supplement. But because many seniors don't get outside much, have limited diets, and naturally absorb less with age, they can slip into a long-term deficiency without showing obvious signs. So if you're caring for aging parents or grandparents, or if you're over 60 yourself, don't wait for a fall to start thinking about vitamin D. Consider it a key part of your healthy aging game plan. It's one simple step that can help you stay strong, stay steady, and stay independent for years to come. So why are older adults so often low on vitamin D? Well, as we age, our bodies just don't make or use vitamin D the way they used to. For starters, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. In fact, after age 70, our skin's ability to generate vitamin D drops by up to 75%, according to Harvard Health. That's a huge difference, especially for folks who already aren't spending much time outdoors. And it's not just the skin. Our kidneys, another key player in vitamin D metabolism, start to slow down too. They're responsible for converting vitamin D into its active form that the body can actually use. So even if you're getting enough sun or eating the right foods, your body might still struggle to activate the vitamin D you do have. Then there's lifestyle. Many older adults avoid the sun because of concerns about skin damage, or simply because it's harder to get outside due to mobility issues. Add to that a diet that may be low in fatty fish, fortified dairy, or vitamin D-enriched cereals, and it's a perfect storm for deficiency. Here's what I usually tell my patients over 60. It's never too late to give your body a little boost, and vitamin D is one of the simplest places to start. Get some sun. Aim for 15-30 minutes of sunlight 3 to 4 times a week. Morning or late afternoon is best when the sun isn't too harsh, but still strong enough to help your body make vitamin D. No need to sunbathe for hours. Just rolling up your sleeves and sitting by the window or walking around the block can make a difference. Eat smart. Work more vitamin D-rich foods into your daily meals. Fatty fish like salmon or sardines are great options. Fortified milk cereals and even orange juice can help too. Don't forget egg yolks, simple, affordable, and easy to add to breakfast. Consider supplements. If your diet and sun exposure aren't quite enough, a supplement might be a good idea. For folks 65 and older, most doctors recommend around 800 to 2,000 IU of vitamin D per day. But don't just grab the first bottle you see. Check with your doctor first. A quick blood test can help figure out exactly how much you need. According to the NIH, the upper safe limit is 4,000 IU day. The key here is consistency, not perfection. You don't have to change everything overnight. Start small. A morning walk, a few dietary tweaks, or a once-a-day supplement can go a long way in helping you stay strong, steady, and independent as you age. After all, taking care of your vitamin D is really just another way of taking care of your future self. The second vitamin we need to know about is vitamin B12. If you're over 60 and starting to feel a bit unsteady on your feet, constantly tired, or more forgetful than usual, don't be too quick to blame it all on getting older. There's a good chance you might be silently lacking vitamin B12. According to the U.S. National Institutes of Health, NIH, up to 20% of adults over 60 in the U.S. have a vitamin B12 deficiency. And the older you get, the higher the risk. A major study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that only 6% of people under 60 were low in B12, but that number jumps to 20 to 30% in folks over 75. And it's not just in the U.S. A 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients showed that over 40% of older adults in some parts of the world, especially areas where diets are low in animal protein, like meat, eggs, or dairy, are living with a B12 deficiency and may not even know it. What's tricky is that B12 deficiency often creeps in quietly with symptoms that look a lot like normal aging. You might feel weaker, lose your balance more easily, or notice tingling in your hands or feet. Some people struggle with insomnia, brain fog, or forgetfulness and chalk it all up to just getting old. But in many cases, these signs are actually your body's way of telling you it's not getting enough of this essential vitamin, even if your diet seems okay. As we age, our bodies naturally produce less stomach acid, and that acid is needed to release B12 from food. On top of that, many older adults take medications for things like acid reflux or diabetes, and those medications can block B12 absorption even further. Why is B12 so critical for older adults? Vitamin B12 helps maintain the protective coating around your nerves, the myelin sheath. When your B12 is low, that sheath starts to break down. That's when your nervous system stops firing correctly. That's when you feel things like tingling or numbness in hands and feet, weakness in the legs, poor coordination or balance, muscle cramps, memory problems or mental fog, fatigue, and even depression. It's not just theoretical. In clinical settings, I've watched patients regain stability, clarity, and strength just by correcting B12 levels. Take my patient, Linda, 68, a retired school teacher. She was convinced she was heading toward early dementia. Her memory was slipping, and her legs felt strangely wobbly, as she put it. But her MRI was clean. What wasn't her B12 shockingly low? After 6 weeks of high-dose B12 injections and a switch to fortified cereals and more fish in her diet, she felt like herself again. No memory meds, no complex therapies, just a vitamin she didn't know she was missing. So why are older adults more at risk? There are a few reasons. Stomach acid production drops with age, and stomach acid is essential for absorbing B12 from food. Medications like metformin for diabetes and proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux interfere with B12 absorption. Digestive conditions such as atrophic gastritis or Crohn's disease further reduce B12 uptake. Some older adults also develop pernicious anemia, an autoimmune condition, where the body stops producing intrinsic factor, a protein needed to absorb B12. This means that even if you're eating right, your body may not be pulling that B12 in. That's why blood tests are essential. Let's move on to the third vitamin, magnesium. Magnesium is essential for over 300 enzyme reactions in your body. It plays a key role in nerve transmission, muscle contraction, and relaxation, and keeping your bones strong. Without it, things start to misfire. Your muscles cramp, your nerves miscommunicate. Your sleep suffers. According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, about 48% of Americans don't get enough magnesium from their diets, and the numbers are even worse for older adults. As we age, magnesium absorption declines, and certain medications like diuretics, proton pump inhibitors, and antibiotics increase loss through the kidneys. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found that up to 70% of adults over age 70 consume less than the recommended daily intake of magnesium. That's not a small oversight, it's a nationwide health gap. Now let's talk symptoms in real life. I've seen older patients with months, even years of annoying cramps, twitchy legs, and poor sleep that they just assumed was normal aging. Then we address their magnesium levels, and within weeks, their symptoms melt away. One example is George, 75, from Kansas. He told me, "Doc, every night I feel like there's electricity running through my legs." He wasn't sleeping. He was grumpy, exhausted, and thought it was just part of getting old. His magnesium was borderline low. I started him on 400 mg of magnesium glycinate at bedtime, and by his next visit he said it was the best sleep he'd had in years. No more twitching, no more tossing and turning. But it's not just about the legs, let's talk bones. Everyone hears about calcium when it comes to bone health, but magnesium is just as important. It helps regulate calcium transport and activates vitamin D, another critical nutrient for bone strength. A study in Osteoporosis International 2014 found that women with the highest magnesium intake had 27% lower risk of fractures compared to those with the lowest intake. That's huge when you consider how dangerous hip fractures can be in older adults. According to the CDC, more than 300,000 Americans over 65 are hospitalized for hip fractures each year, and magnesium status may be part of the hidden cause. Low magnesium has been linked with higher risks of high blood pressure, irregular heartbeats, and even sudden cardiac death. The Framingham Heart Study found that people with the lowest magnesium levels had a 50% higher risk of sudden cardiac death. As a doctor, that stat makes me stop in my tracks. This is no longer about cramps, it's about survival. For most older adults, I recommend magnesium glycinate, or citrate. These are more absorbable and less likely to cause digestive upset. Avoid magnesium oxide unless you're using it for constipation. The recommended dietary allowance RDA for adults over 51 is 420 mg for men, 3 to 20 mg for women. Most seniors don't hit these targets with food alone, which is why supplementation makes sense for many. A review in Nutrients 2020 concluded that magnesium supplementation in older adults not only improved sleep and muscle function, but also supported mood, reduced anxiety, and enhanced cognitive function. Now for the fourth vitamin, calcium. As a physician with decades of experience treating older adults, I can't stress this enough. Calcium is not just for kids' bones. In fact, for seniors, maintaining proper calcium levels is one of the most powerful steps you can take to stay mobile, independent, and out of the hospital. Your bones aren't static, they're living tissue that remodels throughout your life. But as you age, especially after age 50, bone breakdown starts to outpace bone formation. Without enough calcium in your system, your body starts pulling it from your bones, leaving them thin and brittle. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, around 50% of women and 25% of men over 50 will break a bone due to osteoporosis. And the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force reports that hip fractures in the elderly are associated with up to a 20% mortality rate within the first year. That's not just because of the break, it's due to complications like blood clots, infections, and long-term loss of mobility. The World Health Organization, WHO, classifies osteoporosis as a major public health concern. Globally, one fracture occurs every 3 seconds due to osteoporosis, and calcium deficiency is a top contributing factor. But bones are just the beginning. Calcium also plays a vital role in muscle contractions, nerve communication, and even heart rhythm. A deficiency can lead to more than just weak bones. It can cause muscle spasms, cramps, numbness, and in extreme cases, abnormal heartbeats. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older adults with low calcium intake had significantly higher rates of sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. This contributes not just to falls, but to the feeling of frailty and imbalance many seniors describe. Where do we get calcium? And how well do we absorb it with age? Naturally, calcium comes from foods like dairy milk, yogurt, cheese, fortified plant milks, soy, almond oat, tofu, especially when made with calcium sulfate, leafy greens, kale, bok choy collards, canned sardines, and salmon with bones, calcium-fortified cereals and juices. But here's what many don't know: as we age, we absorb less calcium from food. Stomach acid decreases, and vitamin D, which helps us absorb calcium, is often low in older adults. Plus, medications like corticosteroids or PPIs, acid blockers, can reduce calcium absorption significantly. According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, NHANES only 30% of men and 40% of women over 70 meet their daily calcium needs from diet alone. That's millions of seniors falling short every day. Next up is the fifth vitamin, potassium. Let's talk about why potassium matters, especially after age 60. Potassium is a vital electrolyte that helps regulate fluid balance, nerve signals, and muscle contractions. It also works to counteract the effects of sodium, which helps keep blood pressure in check. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, high blood pressure affects nearly 70% of adults over 65 in the U.S., and potassium intake has a direct impact on managing it. In fact, the DASH diet, widely recommended for lowering blood pressure, is rich in potassium for this very reason. A 2011 study in the Archives of Internal Medicine found that people with the highest potassium intake had a 20% lower risk of stroke, especially ischemic stroke, compared to those with the lowest intake. That risk reduction is even more critical in seniors, where stroke can have devastating long-term consequences. Potassium also plays a big role in muscle and nerve health. Low potassium levels, known as hypokalemia, can cause or worsen muscle weakness, nighttime leg cramps, constipation, numbness or tingling, irregular heartbeat or arrhythmia. In severe cases, it can even cause paralysis or cardiac arrest. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, NHANES, shows that less than 2% of Americans meet the daily recommended potassium intake, and intake steadily declines with age. Seniors often eat fewer fruits and vegetables, primary potassium sources, and many take medications that deplete potassium, including diuretics often prescribed for hypertension or heart failure, laxatives, corticosteroids, some antibiotics. Though most people think only of calcium when it comes to bones, potassium plays a key role in preserving bone mineral density, BMD. Here's how potassium helps neutralize acids, that otherwise cause calcium to be leached from the bones. A study published in Osteoporosis International 2009 analyzed data from over 3,000 older adults and found that higher potassium intake was associated with significantly higher BMD in both the spine and hips. Another meta-analysis in Nutrients 2020 supported these findings, showing that diets rich in potassium were linked to lower rates of osteoporosis and fewer fractures in post-menopausal women. Yes, too much potassium hyperkalemia can be harmful, especially for people with chronic kidney disease or those on potassium-sparing medications. That's why I always recommend a blood test before starting any potassium supplement. Most people do just fine increasing potassium through diet alone. Here's what I advise my older patients. Add at least 1 to 2 potassium-rich foods to every meal. If you're on diuretics or blood pressure meds, talk to your doctor about your potassium levels. Stay hydrated. Water helps regulate electrolytes. Ask for routine blood work to monitor potassium, especially if you feel crampy weak or notice changes in heart rhythm. The next vitamin is especially important for us, especially for older adults, vitamin B6. Vitamin B6, or pyridoxine, is essential for creating neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA chemicals that allow your brain to talk to your muscles. Without enough B6, those signals start misfiring, leading to symptoms like numbness, tingling, or muscle weakness. A large-scale study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging found that older adults with low B6 levels had nearly twice the risk of sensory neuropathy, that pins and needles feeling compared to those with adequate levels. Another study in Neurology 2019 linked B6 deficiency with delayed nerve conduction in people over 65, meaning the body literally reacts slower to movement commands. One of my patients, Frank, 73, from Michigan, came in complaining of dropping his coffee mug and stumbling more often. At first, we ruled out Parkinson's diabetes and even a mini stroke, but it turned out his B6 level was just 5 ng/ml. The minimum recommended is around 20-30 g/ml. We got him on a daily B6 supplement and increased foods like chickpeas, tuna, and fortified cereals. Within a month, his grip improved, and his gait felt more sure, as he put it. Now let's talk oxygen and endurance. Vitamin B6 is necessary for making hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout your body. Without enough B6, your red blood cells can't do their job, which leads to symptoms that mimic anemia, tiredness, shortness of breath, and muscle fatigue. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition 2012 published findings showing that B6 deficiency was associated with lower hemoglobin levels in over 40% of women aged 60-79, and that supplementing B6 helped restore normal oxygen levels in many of these patients. That's huge, because often we blame fatigue on aging when it's actually poor oxygen delivery at the cellular level. Where do older adults get B6, and why are they often deficient? Good food sources include chicken, turkey, and lean meats, fish like salmon and tuna, potatoes and bananas, fortified cereals and nutritional yeast, chickpeas, garbanzo beans. The recommended daily allowance RDA for adults over 50 is 1.5 mg/day day for women, 1.7 mg/day for men. But here's the problem. Studies from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey (NHINES) report that nearly 30% of adults over 60 have blood B6 levels below the adequate threshold, even if they eat a decent diet. Aging reduces the body's ability to absorb B6, and common medications like hydralazine for high blood pressure, isoniazid for TB, and long-term use of diuretics further lower B6 availability. My advice to older adults include B6-rich foods daily. Even just one portion of chicken chickpeas or fortified cereal can make a big difference. Check your meds. If you're on blood pressure meds, diuretics, or anti-TB treatment, You may need extra B6. Don't wait for symptoms to get worse. A basic blood test can catch the problem early. Supplement if needed, but don't overdo it. High doses over 100 mg day long-term can cause nerve damage, so always talk to your doctor first. And now we've reached the final vitamin K, both K1 and K2. Vitamin K exists in two major forms. K1 phylloquinone. Found mostly in green leafy vegetables, it supports blood clotting. K2 menaquinone. Found in fermented foods and animal products, it helps activate proteins that regulate where calcium goes in your body. You want calcium in your bones, not in your arteries, joints, or kidneys. Vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin, which binds calcium to your bone matrix, and matrix Guillet protein MGP, which prevents calcium from sticking to blood vessels. According to a review published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, 2020, vitamin K2 significantly improves bone mineral density and reduces fracture risk, especially in postmenopausal women. Another study in the European Journal of Nutrition 2017 concluded that vitamin K2 reduces arterial stiffness and progression of atherosclerosis. Data from the Framingham Offspring Study 2008 showed that individuals in the highest quartile of vitamin K1 intake had a 35% lower risk of hip fracture compared to those in the lowest quartile. More importantly, a Dutch study, the Rotterdam Study 2004, found that high dietary intake of vitamin K2 was associated with a 52% reduced risk of arterial calcification and a 57% reduced risk of coronary heart disease deaths. These are not small numbers. They suggest that vitamin K2 is crucial, not just for bones, but also for protecting your heart as you age. Here's what I recommend. For vitamin K1, eat at least 1 to 2 cups of leafy greens per day, spinach, kale collards, etc. For vitamin K2, aim for fermented foods, like natto aged cheese, sauerkraut, or consider supplements, especially MK7, which stays longer in your bloodstream. In terms of dosage, the adequate intake AI for vitamin K1 is 120 mcg day for men and 90 mcg day for women per National Institutes of Health. For K2 studies typically use 4,580 mcg day, though official US guidelines haven't been set yet. So here's the big picture. Your body doesn't just get old, it responds to what you give it. Vitamins like D, B12, magnesium, calcium, potassium, B6, and K aren't just nutrients. They're tools your body uses to stay strong, steady, and sharp. And too many older adults are missing out simply because no one ever told them how vital these really are. It's never too late to take action. Start by checking in with your doctor, reviewing your diet, and making small, consistent changes. A banana here, a walk in the sun there, and maybe a few smart supplements could mean fewer falls, better sleep, stronger bones, and more energy to enjoy life on your terms. And hey, if this helped you imagine who else it could help. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to Senior Life, where we break down real health info in plain English for real people like you. Let's stay strong together.